In this video, we're going to look at a few different ways to engage a lesson, a process which allows the cadets to use their clickers. Let's start by going to the Engage Main tab and the Lessons and Assessments subtab. In this example, we'll be engaging only one lesson and not using any other linked files like PowerPoints. Take a look at the lesson tree and expand the folders to reveal a lesson. I'll be using a lesson from the first available set of lessons under LE1, Category 1, Skill 1, and Task 1. And I'll use the Keywords lesson, which has 5 questions. I'm going to indicate to CPS that I want to use this lesson by putting a check in the box that appears to the left of the icon for this lesson. Now, as you can see, the Engage list at right shows the name of that lesson. Also notice that the buttons have changed since I clicked the checkbox. And I can now click on a button labeled Engage Teach. In order to launch this lesson, just click that button, and after a moment, you will see the Engage toolbar. The Engage bar offers a few options, but for now, just click the button labeled Next Number 1. You will see a question window appear that contains the question and answers, and a set of tools at the bottom that you can use to manage the question window. To open the question for responses from clickers, just start the question by clicking Start. At this point, the clickers can be used to respond. When you are ready to end the question, just click End. The clickers will not be able to send responses while the question is ended. Now that you have received some responses to that question, let's advance to the next. To do this, click on the button with a green forward arrow. You may start questions in the lesson, receive responses, end questions, and navigate forward and back to other questions using these steps. Now let's close the question by clicking on the Close button, and then end the lesson by clicking on the Close button on the Engage toolbar. And confirm this choice by clicking Yes when prompted to confirm closure of the lesson. You can also ask questions on the fly that you or a cadet might think of on the spur of the moment by using the Verbal Question feature. To demonstrate this, let's relaunch the same lesson that we were just using. Now that I'm in the lesson, I can click on Next Number 1 to launch the first question, but instead I'm going to click on the button labeled Verbal, which reveals a list of the types of questions that I can ask on the fly. I'm going to select True False for this example and use my clicker number 1 to answer the question. As you can see, the number 1 tile has become highlighted, just like it would if the question had been prepared in advance. And when I close the question and the lesson, the answer is saved, just as if I had prepared the question in advance. The only difference is that afterwards there is no text for the question or answer since none was prepared. So it's important to note what it was that you asked the students if you intend to track how they replied. Now we're going to practice engaging a lesson at the same time as engaging a PowerPoint presentation. This is a powerful way to take advantage of the content created specifically to accompany your existing Marine Corps JROTC lessons. To launch a lesson and PowerPoint presentation at the same time, start by going to the Engage Main tab and the Lessons and Assessments subtab. Next, expand the lesson tree to reveal a lesson. I'm going to use the first one that shows both the lessons with the lesson questions at the end of the title and a link to the PowerPoint presentation. Now, check the box next to each of these. If this has been done correctly, you should see both of them, and nothing else, listed in the Engage list at right. Now click on the Engage Teach button. After a moment, the PowerPoint will be launched and you will see the presentation resized to accommodate a toolbar at the bottom. You may recognize that this is the standard Engage toolbar. In fact, what you're viewing is a PowerPoint window running simultaneously with, but separately managed from, a CPS lesson. Just like when using PowerPoint by itself, you can advance or go back to slides within the presentation. However, with the CPS Engage toolbar inserted into the space at the bottom, you are also able to run CPS questions at any time. To practice, advance the PowerPoint to the first slide that you see contains a question. In a real instructional scenario, you would want to make sure to run the CPS question before a discussion, as opposed to after. So let's do this now, by clicking on the button on the Engage toolbar labeled Next Number 1, and click Start. Then end the question and watch the toolbar return to the bottom of the screen. At this point, you would want to discuss the subject that the question relates to with the class and then proceed through the PowerPoint presentation, using it to teach as you normally would. Now that we have looked at engaging a lesson at the same time as a PowerPoint presentation, you can end this lesson by clicking Close and confirming. This will also close the PowerPoint. Now, let's take a look at a very powerful way to assess individual cadets at random using the Pick a Student feature. Start by going to the Engage Main tab and the Lessons and Assessments subtab. Since many of the PowerPoint presentations actually contain slides that are useful with this feature, we'll kill two birds with one stone and show the Pick a Student feature and PowerPoints that can use them. Choose a PowerPoint and its accompanying lesson that has lesson questions in the title, and then click on the Engage Teach button. This will launch the PowerPoint and the lesson. Advance to a PowerPoint slide that is titled Closing Question, and then click on the button on the Engage bar labeled Class, then on Pick a Student. This will open a window that randomly produces the clicker number of a cadet in the roster you are using. At this point, you can ask the closing question of one or more cadets. To pick another cadet, just click on the button with the student icon. When you are finished, click OK. Using this tool, you can call on one cadet at a time, and the cadet is chosen completely at random. Now you can close the question and lesson. Now we're going to take a look at a very different way of using CPS, in student paced mode, which is designed for taking classroom tests. In student paced mode, the students will be able to answer questions at their own pace, skip questions, and navigate forward and backward to any question in the assessment to answer questions or change their answers. As most of your students will be using infrared clickers, we will demonstrate this feature using infrared clickers. Let's start by going to the Engage Main tab and the Lessons and Assessments subtab. Expand the lesson tree to a task that contains a lesson with the phrase Test Questions in the title. I will be using the first task for this. Check the box next to this lesson and note the options above. Click on the button labeled Assessment Setup. This will expand to reveal a new set of options to the right. Click on the option labeled Student Paced and note that the Engage button has changed from Engage Teach to Engage Assessment. Click on this button, and after a moment you will see a new screen that shows all of the clicker numbers in this roster, and the question number that is being answered by that clicker. However, to start the test, you must first click Start. Now that the test is started, anyone can use their clicker to answer and navigate through the test. Once you are ready to end the test, just click End and Yes to confirm. In this video, we've covered some different ways in which to engage lessons in CPS, including standard teacher-managed engagement without a PowerPoint or other files, asking questions using the verbal question feature, standard engagement using an accompanying PowerPoint presentation, using the Pick a Student feature, and engaging using student-paced mode. When you are ready to continue, proceed to the next video.